Have to be professional.
Hello. Hello. All right. Welcome, everyone. We are live at Guildify Con. This is the I'll Miss Being Blank panel, and we are discussing your favorite characters of all time, who you would love to have gotten another chance to continue voicing, or would love it if the author came out just with a novella even, so you could just go back and revisit those voices. So before we get started tonight, I'm going to have you guys go around and introduce yourselves, and we will start with you, Luke.
Hello, I'm Luke Daniels, and I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me. And with these esteemed narrators, I hope we can have some fun.
All right, and Andrea?
Hi, I'm Andrea Parsnow. Andy to some, others. Hey, who's that? Either way works. I'm a professional narrator too. That's what we all do. I got caught between professional mouth noise maker and narrator, and then I just said professional narrator, which sounds like a tautology. Anyway, hi.
Go to you, Daniel.
Hi there, I'm Daniel Wisniewski. I'm also a professional person who speaks in their closet, and I feel incredibly lesser than with this panel of awesome people. Like, I feel like the most, I guess, neophyte. Is that the proper use of the words? I speak words. I do those, sometimes for money. Anyway.
And Steve.
That was awesome. Oh, how's it going, eh? So I'm Steve Campbell, and I live up in the Great White North, and so I talk real good. So, yeah, that's me, eh?
All right. And our actual moderator for the panel is Kyle, who has joined us. He was having some technical difficulties. Kyle, can you hear us?
I can hear you guys. I'm here. I'm so sorry. The joys of finding the right internet connection.
All right. Almost. Well, with that, I will step out. They've given their introduction, so right on into the panel for you.
I'm so glad to see you wonderful narrators, and I'm excited to visit with you on I'll Miss Being. This is a discussion basically on characters they've done in the past, and basically which ones they've missed is that they are no longer doing, or that they will miss if they no longer are doing it. So I haven't seen any questions as of yet, but like I said, I'm flippin' excited to be here with these four wonderful narrators. Like, you guys make my day. I am not completely audible, but I'm almost 98%. So you guys, I hear your voices every day. So it works out.
That's very kind.
Okay.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you.
So
Thanks, Kyle.
So I'm going to start with a question of my own. Have there been times when you have built a character that has meant so much to you that it's been a real heartache to pull away from that as a narrator? And if so, can you give an example of one?
Luke, why don't you start?
That happens every time. Can you say one of our names afterwards?
You need to say our names.
Say our names.
Yeah.
It happens every time.
Yeah. All four of us speak at one.
Yes.
We're either in silence or we're all talking at the same time. That's how it goes.
Yeah, I think I'm going to pick on Steve on this one. So,
of course, you're going to make me go first. You know,
I go first.
Whenever people ask me for my favorites of things, I get flop sweat. Like, I really panic because picking one thing is just incredibly hard for me. I do have some standouts that I love. Bancroft was one that I did for Guildcore. It was actually quite touching because Rose, pen name TJ Reynolds, wrote the character. It was a dungeon core that was based off of their grandmother, and so I didn't know that going into it, but immediately when I started prepping the book and reading, this happens, and it's a great joy when it does. that their voice just came right into my head immediately. And I knew exactly how to voice them. I knew exactly how they sounded. And I don't know, it's kind of difficult because I don't know that I could ever really quite use that voice again, because it's like so iconic in my mind that it was exactly that's Bancroft, right? So that was a really tough one. But I definitely have some others that have stood out for me for sure as well. But I'll let other people talk now.
Okay. I'm going to jump to Luke on this one.
Oh, why do I have to follow Steve? That's not fair. He's like, he like starts out with like the self-deprecating, then he's like genuine and heartfelt, and then he gives you an actual good point. So
I
I'm
practiced.
probably not. Can I say my character of Steve? That would be my favorite that I can't let go. That's who it is. I think that for me, I guess sometimes it's particular dialects that kind of stick with me, so that I'm kind of using that in my daily life and annoying nearly everyone around me, including the animals. So I think I don't know that I would say something that I've had trouble letting go of, because it's always a part of me. So I don't feel like I had to let go of it. Maybe I don't get to perform that character anymore. The one that comes to mind was Ember Wars by Richard Fox. Had a lot of good, I mean, it was like, 5 million books long. So you had time with those people. And so then I remember ending that one up. I really liked how he wrapped up the series, and I thought he gave the characters good endings. So I remember feeling after that one like, oh, that's good. But it was more like a sense of satisfaction and completion than like, oh, they're lost to the ether, I'll never get them back. It's like, no, I can just talk like that to my wife and she'll just ignore me. So they're always with me.
If you get ignoring, that's good. I usually get beats or some form of disdain that's like, don't. You're going to make my lady part shrink away and you'll never see them again. So stop doing that.
Yeah,
voice.
people are always like, ooh, is that kind of sexy? And my wife's like, no, it's not sexy. It's not sexy at all. It's annoying. And it's kind of childish, to be honest.
Yeah.
No, she's very supportive and great. I like to tease, but
I think anybody who has any sort of like, they do characters that have any sexiness to them or anything like that, you'll get that question. You'll get the like, do you ever use that with your partner? Is it like fun?
Yeah.
And it's like, my husband is so annoyed by the crap that I do at this point. Like that poor man. I just walk around the house constantly just going, Serge, just making weird voices, trying to flesh something out. So no, this one doesn't. No.
I get embarrassed when I'm practicing a certain accent or a certain voice, and I think I'm doing it really quietly or really like, on the down low, especially when I'm out in public. And then someone goes, "What was that? I'm sorry. Are you talking to me?" And I'm like, "No, I'm totally normal and not doing weird voices inside my little bubble of thought."
We have those cameras, and it alerts my wife anytime someone talks. So even when she's gone, she's getting like 4,000 alerts as I stumble through the house, getting my 400th cup of coffee, rambling to myself. And she knows there's only me home. So clearly he's talking to himself again. So, yeah.
I've gotten stopped in the city because I was doing voices to myself. And they're like, "Are you an actor?" I was like, "Yeah, how'd you know?" They're like, "It's New York. It's 50-50. Actor, you look like an actor."
Actor or crazy person. At least they didn't just assume that you were crazy.
Yeah, a little bit.
Jump to Andrea on this one.
Yeah.
Oh, me. Can I have a repeat of the question?
Yeah,
I got
I love
distracted by the conversation. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. The question is there a character that you have absolutely loved and it has taken everything you have to let go of it as you've moved on and from the book?
Oh no, that makes sense. Sorry. Thank you. The one that I've had to let go of, but it's more like a shelving thing. And it's when I think I've said this a couple times in like iterations of this question, Popper from Dominion of Blades. So Popper is a 48-year-old man trapped in the body of a child. And
yes.
I'm sorry, but there ain't that many places you can use this shit, especially with the amount that guy cusses. So It's kind of hard to find another place for it.
So yeah, that's kind of like an individual. Like this is an 8-year-old girl who is also a 48-year-old man. Like I think she's 6 actually, but like that, I've had to like put it to the side. I can't use that on something else, so I just stick it. It's on a shelf for the day that Dominion of Blades has a third volume. I'm waiting for it. As far as like ones that I will have trouble letting go, the Wandering
Gosh, I'm
Inn,
begging
things
for
like
Dominion of
Pisces.
Blades continue.
Oh, me
but
too.
That's another story.
It is. I gave
right.
Matt all the shit at DragonCon.
Well, I mean, he's got to finish his DCC first, so and then I'll force him to go back to Dominion. But
Exactly.
so Daniel,
Yes. Hello. So, in regards to lit RPGs specifically, because there's a litany of like science fiction characters that I'm sad to see go, but specifically, I will miss Clovis from Tokens and Towers, who is basically a spellbook who does not understand actual social interaction and who is just very much like here. And it was one of those voices that once I got, I'm like, this is perfect. This is exactly who he is. No deviation. This just clicked. And then another one who I'm not sure if he's going to be back, but a series I do for Podium called Isekai Assassin. That one's had about 4 books there, and he's very formal, very English assassin, like, portaled to a different fantasy realm. Your general smarmy British that has a bit of a heart of gold. I enjoy that one a lot, and I hope that there's another book. So that'd be lovely.
This
I think we all
topic is
have
always
our
challenging
favorite
because
characters that just-
we have
ahead,
these
listen.
characters that we love, but
Hey, Grayson.
we want to we want to be able to utilize them again, and yet we'll get feedback, or at least I have, where it's like, hey, you used that voice in this series over here, and I'm like, look, if you're expecting a new voice for every single character in every single book in every single series all the way across my career, you're going to be disappointed, because let's be fair, there's only so much that the human voice can manage, especially mine. I mean, maybe Luke is handling it massively well, but I'm not Luke Daniels, so
None of us are.
Yeah. You guys are sweet, but I definitely, I've got probably 12 voices, and each one is a variation of the other. It's not about that, but I do think there's iconic ones that bringing them in can jar the listener. So if you do like what you guys are mentioning, and specific characters that, I probably wouldn't put them right in the next book again, but I don't know if it fits. In my mind, they're kind of like a stable of actors in my head. And so it'd be the same as if, you see some actor that's been in 6 movies this year, they had a pretty prolific year, and you try to change it up. But I think it is what it is. I have no way to end that. I think I just kind of petered out and realized I was still talking and people were listening, and I had nothing to really contribute. So probably segue is a good point at this. I can keep going.
I
That's what
completely
I do.
understand. All right.
I
So
was curious to
a
see how
really
long
good-
you could keep going with that. That was great.
Depends how much you
So
pay
a
me
really
per
good
hour.
question. So a really good question that I saw from TJ Lombardi is, was there ever a voice that haunted you where you've tried to nail it and feel like you still haven't gotten it just yet? And I'm going to start with Luke on this one.
Nope. Nailed them all.
Good on you.
That was great.
cheers.
Confidence of a professional right there.
Not surprised at all by that.
No.
I don't think that's true. I think that there's plenty that I've not nailed, but it's always like a consistent, hopefully you're always getting better. So, and things that I liked before seem to change as I get more experience, grow older, whatever, my tastes. So I try not to look back and be too critical, but I also don't go back and listen because that's just that way lies damnation as far as I'm concerned. So it's good to be aware of what you're putting out there. So listening is a good technique to increase your skill set as a narrator, but be careful. It's a rabbit hole.
Of course. And I'm going to just side comment. We welcome Annie anytime and she can find a better connection. So I'm gonna move to Andy on that question.
Yes. Yes, all the time.
Mhm.
I am
The voice
I am
you feel like you have it nailed. Yes.
yeah, all the time. Floss. Anybody who there's a character named freaking guy. His name flew out of my head. Daniel's in the chat. Daniel, if you can pop up what that character's name is in a second. Corsa. Anyway, doesn't matter. He's an 11-foot fire giant dude and super deep, like impressive, like presence filled voice. He's like Lurch, and I don't possess the equipment for that voice, and it is so frustrating because I will sit there just going, Vorso, that's Vorsa, the fire giant. Yeah, I will just sit there going, Vorsa. Hello, I'm Vorsa. Like I will go crazy trying to get it to drop lower, trying to do the thing. I'll add gravel. Like that's my biggest thing. Is like big, strong dudes, any of them, big, huge dudes that are supposed to have super, super deep voices. Those are always a thing for me because I'm not biologically inclined that way.
I like that. Biologically inclined.
Yeah.
Nice. I call my wife.
All right, so I'm going to
vertically
jump to
inclined
Daniel on that.
because she's too short.
There you
She's
go.
not vertically inclined. So if it's in regards to being haunted, I'm haunted by every single thing I've done prior to February of 2021. So that's just, there. I'd love to get another stab at those just from not knowing how to do this job and doing stuff because the work was there rather
I don't
than
believe that for a second, Daniel. But
it's pretty bad. But specifically, one that I'd love another do-over for, there's two. One from a technical standpoint, one from an actual voice standpoint. Technical is Lion's Lineage. That one, I'm actually working on the sequel now, so I listened to the first one again, and I'm just so slow. And my voices, while good, are just so slow. And I'd love to give that narrator voice another go, because it's so melodramatic. It's so, every phrase is important. And I would just love to be like, hey, relax, my dude. Sometimes a sentence is just a sentence. So I think that, I forgot that the narrator is a character, and the narrator can be a very chill character, and it's someone to bring into the story. I'm not shouting to the balcony. I'm talking to somebody like over the campfire. In regards to character voices, that would probably be the Seated Realm series I did right before February of 2021. And the main character for that also was kind of like deep and gravelly and very here. I wasn't confident in that voice yet. So he tried to come across like that, but it was like, young Dan trying to be a baritone and not succeeding. So I'd love to give the gravitas and weight that those chapters had another go.
What about you, Steve?
Stay. I like Stay.
Stay.
Hey, Stay.
My brain just, it's the end of the day.
How dare you, Kyle?
It's hard because I agree with Daniel. It's like all of them. Sometimes I feel like I want to redo, and it's one of those things where you're grateful that you can know that you're growing, because you go back and listen to something you did 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 months ago, last week, and you're like, I should never record anything ever again. I'm horrible at my job, and so it is a constant battle to not let that imposter syndrome take over your whole life and feel that anxiety of, I am not good enough to be doing this job. And that's amazing where you have like people that support you either on Discord or fans or whatever that are like, no, I really like that. And I know that it's difficult when I have new people that come into knowing about different books that I've done, and they're like, hey, I just checked out this book. And I'm like, really? I did that one like 5 years ago. Are you sure that you like that? Because it sounds really bad now. And so, yeah, it's like all of them. I want to redo all of them, all of my books. I want to re-record every single one of them because it's just tough. One character in particular, though, is one I talk about a lot, who's Blaise. And Blaise is a dark elf from Australia, and he's got his bow Celia, and he's really good at taking anybody out that he can. And I was horrible at an Australian accent, and I couldn't do it to save my life. Now I have something that's not really good, but all right. But I'd like to get it better, And so it's like trying to get it to the right place. So that's the one that is like, I've had copious amounts of practice and coaching to try and get my Australian to sound a little bit Australian, because I promise you it did not at the beginning. So yeah, early character voices there. I wanted to work on him in book 1 again many, many times.
Can I just say,
Yeah,
Steve, you
Daniel, go
say
ahead.
it didn't sound great, but you sounded just like D. Bradley Baker voicing all the clones from Clone Wars. Like
That did.
Uncanny.
Oh my gosh.
it really did. And I'm just like,
I was dead on.
this is what you consider not great at the time? I'm just like, it sounded pristine, my dude. It sounded just like him.
Okay, so I'm going to go a little bit in the opposite. Daniel Shinhofen and asked this. Which voice challenged you but felt so rewarding when you nailed it? And I promise, Damien, I'm going to get to your question. That's the next one. I'm going to start with Daniel on this one.
Oh, why?
Wisniewski.
And you said it right, so I gotta be kind. Give me a moment to. Oh, okay. Yes, I got one. So it's a series I'm currently working on called Hack, Slash, and Burn. It is through Podium. Wonderful lit RPG, very fun, very cool. The main character, Calder, that voice, I remember having to do a little bit of a read for it because it was offered to me at a time when it wasn't automatic. If I do it, it's like, the author wants to hear how you sound. And so I read through it, and he was just this very stoic, serious war veteran who's been through so much shit. And I just tried to sort of go down here for him. And he's very like this the entire book. Even when he's yelling, he's very quiet. Very kind of Thomas Shelby, but a bass. And I just, when I got it, it was, it took like a week of prep, a week of reading and rereading, and it just felt so nice when it settled. And every time I listen back to it, I'm like, I might hate some other characters in this for how I voiced it, but this one will always be perfect to me. I will never want to redo it, re-record it, read anything. It's just perfect.
Jump to Andrea.
This one's easy. Blurb. Blurb's a slime. And it took forever to get that right. Like, it took forever. I just sat there going, blub, 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 doing weird stuff with my jaw. And then finally we got Blurb. And I freaking love that voice so much. Makes me laugh every time. So I was so pleased with that voice. I've kept it. I will probably never touch Blurb's voice because I love Blurb's voice so much. So absolutely. A lot of them, like a lot of times I have, like, if it's those kinds of characters like Daniel was talking about, sorry, this is opposite, so it's messing with me. Like Daniel was talking about, if there's somebody who has like deep trauma and they're very stoic and they have so many things going on internally, I'm so freaking, like, I'm so anal. I have to incorporate all of that with every line that I'm talking about. And when you hit it, it's just so good. Like, it's so good when it comes out right. Like, if you get that voice down, it's on top of the world because it sounds good. And you're just like, thank God. But yeah, easy one's Blurb by far. I love that one.
It's not even that it sounds good. Just to layer on top of that, it's that it feels right. Like,
there you go. Yeah.
Like it is good, but it's like,
Yeah.
It feels like I'm doing them justice.
It fits. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
it
That
fits.
little like socket in. You feel it pop into socket. And it's like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, it's like cracking your neck or like putting it's like, oh, that relief and that release. It's just, yeah.
Yeah.
That's this chat. Just, yeah. It's just like, yeah, agree.
Oh
with you.
yeah.
Goodness. Yeah.
That's like the what is it, the scene in is it Ted with the teddy bear where he's talking about New England girls and he's like, you don't ever want to have sex with them because they're like, oh yeah, give it to me harder, yeah, oh yeah, that's great right there.
It is Ted. It is absolutely Ted.
Oh, goodness. So what about you, Luke?
What about me? I relate to what Steve said, that I think for me, it's when an accent's been kind of difficult and it starts to get a little easier, or start to get more of those coat hangers that you can hang, words or things, phrases that kind of kick it into gear, and it starts to kind of become a little easier to get there, switch back and forth. That's super exciting because it shows, oh, I'm learning and I am capable of getting better. But it's also a double-edged sword, because then it's as soon as I start to get it, it goes 2 steps back, or if I notice that I'm getting it, then I screw up and I'm not as good at it. So as soon as you shine a light on something, it kind of loses its magic. So but there have been times where it's been good. Like, for instance, Oberon, doing him, it'll be fun and I'll have fun with it, but then it's well received. So then when I do it again, I'm like, okay, now I gotta make it still good and not change it at all. But I want to change it because I didn't really like some of the choices I made before. So now I'm gonna change. You know what I mean? So you start to think more, and then it gets all up in the head. It can be kind of not as organic an experience. So try to stay away from a lot of the over analyzing and critical stuff, because life's just better when I don't criticize myself. My mind does enough of that, so I try not to.
It's true. I mean, I can imagine you're more often in your bath that's relaxing than anything else, but that's a different story.
Wait, you're imagining Luke in the bath? I
Why
don't
are
know
you
if
doing
that's
that, Kyle?
appropriate.
Are we there too? Is it a whole panel?
We won't discuss my brain in how
We have a narrator hot tub now. Bath
Yeah,
is
do we
creepy
have
with y'all,
separate
but I'll
tubs?
take hot tub with y'all. That'd be
I
fun.
am.
I could totally imagine that, but I won't.
I'm in
Steve.
Canada. We have snow right now. I am all in on hot tubs.
I think we should do a sauna, because you can just be in there and slowly get more and more. Who can last the longest in the sauna and not make a mistake?
I have a great sauna story for you. I was on tour
PG.
and we were in Thunder Bay, Ontario, and there was a very large Finnish community, which is apparently where saunas originated. And so they like their saunas hot. It was 100 degrees in that thing, centigrade or Celsius. And what we had to do, they said, okay, now we're going to put some water on the rocks. So what you need to do is hold your breath, close your eyes, and put your hands over your ears. Otherwise, they'll scald. And so you had to duck down, and you couldn't put your hands out like this. It hurt your fingertips too much. You had to kind of tuck them in around your ears, hold your breath, because otherwise you could sear your lungs. And then they would put water on it and it would steam up. So I was very proud of myself. A couple of the Finnish guys left the sauna with it being too hot before I did. So I was like, yeah. But yeah, that was a hot one.
This is a voluntary thing you do?
Yeah.
You
Steve
burn
wins.
your fingertips off on a freaking Tuesday, Steve? What's wrong with you?
Well,
He doesn't need them to record.
You don't need fingertips for narrating.
Yes, he needs
That's
thumbs.
hardcore.
True.
That's hardcore, Steve.
That's about it.
Totally
cool.
true.
God,
So Steve, are you
Okay,
saying
so
that are you saying they started it, but you finished it?
good
I
man.
am a finisher. That is my name.
Because it's Finnish.
Oh, boo!
Oh, come on.
Excellent. No, excellent, but boo,
I
but
passively
excellent.
appreciated the pun.
Secretly,
That
not
was
so
really
secretly
good.
loved that.
That was really good.
That
Yeah.
was very good.
Crazy
That
fun.
was very good.
Okay. So we're going to finish off on that question with Steve, unless he can't remember it.
The question was, is there a character that really clicked for me and how much I loved it? Is that what we're doing?
Yes, that is the one.
Okay, so there is actually something that came out really, really recently. We're working on a web serial that is turning into an audio serial with Soundbooth Theater. I see Jeff in the comments, which is awesome. Love this series. I love this author, Macronomicon. The book is called Industrial Strength Magic, and there's 2 characters in this book, and they're the dynamic duo, and they have like this really awesome sound because they just seem like they're surfer guys. Yeah, right? So totally gnarly, dude. And so they're so ridiculous and so obnoxious that I wanted so desperately for them to be perfect. And so my thought was, I need to have Jeff do these guys because I know Jeff would kill it, but I loved them so much that I was like, I can't give them away. So I ended up working with a dialect coach that helped me try and get that sound just right. And so, yeah, that was what I did to try and get like the dynamic duo going the right way. And so I've been working on that one, and I'm still practicing it. It's not like Luke says, you feel like it clicks and then you take 2 steps back and you're like, well, that's gone forever. But when I actually did their scene, I was very happy with how it turned out. So that was definitely my recent click moment for me.
Steve, if you didn't make so many Canada jokes, I would have no idea where you're from. Like with the way that your voice goes. I'm just like,
Right?
I know I'm turning into the Steve Campbell fanboy hour, but honestly,
We need one.
honestly, man,
We need one.
it's like
I'm
working with a
okay with
dialect coach. You mean you aren't a dialect coach? Please.
No,
I mean, I'm
Steve's worked his
surprised I'm
ass
not
off on that
fanboying
too.
over all of you, but that's a different story. So next question, Damien Mann. And I think we've already hit one part of it, but I want to know the second part. Who has been your favorite character to voice, and who was the hardest for you guys to create? I'm going to start with Andrea on this one.
Oh, I had an answer ready for all the other ones.
I'm sorry.
I kind of mentioned it already because it's still, it's more mechanically difficult. Okay, mechanically, like just biologically difficult, Floss, because Floss is like Alexander the Great. He's a huge guy. He's all presence. He's everything he says is just this big thing. I like it's everything Floss says is intense. So that just like mechanically and biologically, that voice is very challenging. But as far as like the like mechanical difficulty of developing like the accent and stuff, probably the Antinium from Wandering In, because they have like a from the ground up accent kind of thing. So yeah, they have lingual trill, or they have uvular trills and uvular clicks.
Yes.
Man, that word's hard to say fast. Clicks. So they
Click their A and C noises, and they are you well.
They do this like weird thing with their voice. So that one was difficult. Like it's just mechanically, it's difficult to do. So it takes a long time to do it. But
is it because it really doesn't sound like that was hard for you at all?
I have done
appalling
hundreds of hours of Wandering In. Hundreds of hours, Steve.
I've listened to you. I remember popping in when you had a few of those people all talking to each other, and I was just in awe at you working it out. And I was like, what the hell? Why would she do this to herself? That is an impossibly hard voice to handle.
Weirdly enough, we talked about the whole like re-recording thing. We're going back. I just re-recorded the first book of The Wandering In. Like I just finished re-recording the whole first book of The Wandering In. And it's that was weird to go back and visit and like see those characters again and stuff and meet the Antinium again and go, oh, finally I can fix that part where I said greetings because you don't trill R's with Antinium. And I did it once and it bugged me forever. So yeah.
All right, so I'm going to jump to Steve for this one.
Oh man.
What are we doing again? I'm sorry, I was lost in the world of Andrea.
All right, Geneva, give us
it's easy to get
a
lost
quick repeat.
What was your favorite to voice and what was the hardest to voice?
Favorite and hardest.
Oh man, that's really hard.
Loaded
all these favorites. Why do we have to do favorites? Can I just pick one?
I know. I'm sorry.
Okay. So there's a couple that I really loved that were very short and small. One I talk about it all the time is I had a guard. There were so many guards that were showing up. There's so many different characters that were just one-liners and then they were murdered. One-liners and then they were murdered. And I'm like, we got to pick a new voice. And one of the characters said A at the end of their sentence. And I was like, this guy has to be Canadian. I mean, he said A. So I, on the Discord, said, what if we made him Canadian? So we did like a okay with SpongeBob, but we made him Canadian, eh? So a Canadian SpongeBob was the guy that was this guard. And I said, the only way this works is if you guys are going to comment that you love the Canadian guard, eh? So that's the way that sound came. And then the other one, another one that I really loved was doing an alien that had such an obnoxious way of talking and was felt so superior to everyone else that I was like, he has to be Marvin the Martian. So I was, get him in the accelerator is going to be working just fine, and I am going to annihilate you.
Steve.
No way. So
Steve.
what?
Just
so
sitting on that,
good.
Marvin. Just
Again.
sitting on it. It's so good.
So good.
Okay.
Dude.
Okay, I can hear you.
Okay.
Hi, guys.
Okay, so these guys have had a lot of time to.
We're getting a huge amount of
We're getting echo. Annie, can you mute when you're not talking?
Yes.
There we
Sorry,
go.
Andy.
Okay, so I apologize. Okay, so I'm gonna jump to Annie for this one. What is her favorite character you've done, and what has been the hardest you've done?
Gosh, my favorite character I've done. I don't know. It's impossible to choose a favorite, but there's a vampire. There was a vampire named Levy. Was she a vampire? No, that's too long ago. Let me go with something else. Let me go with something more current. I really enjoy playing Bonnie in Vampire Queen because she has an arc. She starts as this sort of like really annoying kind of bratty, youngster, and she has a little slow build of character throughout the series. That's what I'm working on right now. The hardest character, I think, playing the female version of Boxy and ELLC was really challenging because I wanted to get, every little cadence and nuance just right. So I did like take after take after take to get those done. I'm gonna jump.
I'm gonna jump to Luke on this one.
Yeah, I like audiobooks. That was the question, right? No, I don't. Just gonna seem like a dick, but yeah, like I don't really have a favorite. I have ones that, I love. Okay, Oberon's my favorite, but that doesn't mean others aren't favorite. I have lots of favorite everything, and so yeah, and ones that are hard. Yeah, I've had times where I'm really struggling with a particular accent for whatever reason. It seems like I woke up on the wrong side of the accent bed, so I'll struggle through it. Definitely Australian's one of those ones that can come and go because of its close association with, either British, or it can start to sound like all number of things. I've even had where I go back and forth between Scottish and Australian, and sometimes those, as strange as it seems, can have some crossover that's difficult. So those will be and I've worked. I did a book with a wonderful author, and we worked in a different fashion where he did a lot of directing. So there was a lot of retaking things to try to get his way, and that was a struggle because we're usually left to our own devices. But it was a good exercise in taking direction and using that. And I remember there was one giant mutated parrot that was particularly troublesome. I just wasn't hearing his rah versus my rah were just, to me, seeming kind of similar. So we were trying to find that middle ground and just kind of flex on that rah a little more or less, So they're fun things we get to do.
I have to say that Luke and Andrea, you guys cursed me because the last time we were on a panel together, you had commented about how challenging it was to go switch between Russian and Scottish. And I was thinking mentally, really? That doesn't seem like that would be that hard. Maybe, I don't know. And then the very next book, I had a Russian ogre and a Scottish dwarf. And I was like, I hate you. I struggled so much with that because I was like, there are a ridiculous amount of similarities between those two accents, and it was not fair or fun. And I feel like it was your fault. So I blame you for that one.
So to I figure I can jump on since I'm the last one to answer, and it also is my hardest. So I see
Please,
your
go ahead.
I see your Russian
Yeah.
Scottish, and I raise you Bostonian and Australian
Ooh,
back to
that's
back.
cool.
So the
Man.
hardest I've had to do is a series from a series. I believe this one was from it was a new one I just did. If I can remember the name, I can't remember, but it came out within the last like 6 months. There we go. The guy who accidentally started the apocalypse. And
It's a great title.
fun. It's a great title. It was very fun to do, but I forgot to mention to the author that I'm not really good with Australian accents. It just doesn't click for whatever reason. It just goes straight to Cockney. It just is what it is, because Cockney just lives in me for whatever reason. But there was a moment where this Bostonian supporting character I tried to make him sound as much like Bill Burr as possible, but then he ended up sounding like John Kennedy. So it just is what it is. He's got to negotiate with an entire team of Australians, and I'm like back and forth, and now a 20-minute chapter is 45. So there's a lot of weird overlap for them as well. And of course, I'm getting a siren at the moment when I have to talk. Sorry about that. But the best character, I'd say, or at least one of my favorites, because you can't be, that objective when you have so many good, we've all been blessed with a lot of good characters and a lot of fun. But But I'd say the one that got me kind of into lit RPG, the one that kind of like catapulted, which was Maximilian Storm in Battleborn by Dave Wilmarth. That one, it just clicked at the right time. It was a character that just fit what I was doing, and it was an audition that like I booked within like 18 hours because it was very quick, and it was only on ACX for like a day, and I'm like, I need to get this in because this feels like it's gonna be something, and it was, and it led to a lot of good, cool jobs. So there's that association, and also just the character hit at the right point. Like it felt like, oh, now I'm an actor. Now I'm doing this professionally. Now I feel like I belong. So there's a lot of good associated with that character, and the voice just sits well. So
Oh, absolutely. So yeah, Steve touched on this a little bit earlier, and I was really interested in the answer, so I'm going to ask it of each of you. Has there been a time that you felt a serious case of imposter syndrome, and what have you done yourself to help get yourself out of that mode so you can keep going as a narrator?
Right now,
I'm going to start with Anne.
Sorry.
I'll start with Daniel then.
Right now, honestly, like it was half a joke but half serious, like being on a panel with everyone here, like it's just like I'm a massive admirer of everybody's work, and I feel like I still haven't done enough, and I'm still not doing enough. But what helps to shake that off is to just, honestly just look at an Audible page and be like, you have done enough. You've done quite a bit. People like it. And doing stuff like this every year where people are like, hey, fan of your work. And I'm like, really? Why? And then it's like, no, embrace it, accept it. But yeah, all the time, like this job is so much throwing stuff into the void and seeing what sticks. So any chance for positive feedback or just this sort of interaction is wholly welcome.
Mm-hmm. You say that, and yet I'm constantly seeing stuff pop up, especially in the genres like Daniel Wisniewski, and I'm like, seriously, him again? Oh man. And not in a bad way. It's just like you're doing so much, and it's so awesome. And I have to say that your voice, like just your natural voice, I'm like, how does he do that? Because you have such presence and resonance in your voice, and the way your cadence flows in your narrative. I was like, damn. I wish I could replicate that, because I want to steal his voice for characters that I would put in my own work. Because yeah, you have definitely rocked it out.
Thank you.
On the scene for sure.
I'm just going to awkwardly shuffle because I can't accept compliments. Because of my Catholic upbringing. That just is what it is. But thank you, genuinely. Thank you.
I understand completely. I'm going to jump to Annie for this one.
I don't ever leave the space of imposter syndrome in any area of my life.
Period. Full stop.
Full stop. I mean, I don't know if it's even a syndrome. I might actually just be an imposter.
He's an alternate.
I love you, Annie.
And he's gone full circle and just
I love
accepted
you,
it at this
Annie.
point. Yeah.
I just live in the full I'm not a real person and this is just fake and I'll just stay here.
It's all a simulation.
It's all working out really well for you, Annie. It's really, you're owning it and it's beautiful. We're here for it. Annie is actually my co-narrator on that book that I was doing.
Yeah. That was the first time we got to work together.
Yes.
Yeah. Hoorah. Huzzah.
Yeah, she rocked it out. It was amazing to get to hear what she was doing with those characters in the Industrial Strength Magic. So I was very happy.
All right, I'm going to jump to Andrea next.
Anybody who spent any amount of time on my stream, I'm a neurotic mess. So yeah, my life is imposter syndrome. I didn't realize this until way later. I actually had a teacher my senior year of high school talk to me at the end of the year, and I kid you not, I didn't even know imposter syndrome was a thing until like Will Wheaton did a article on it years ago, and I read it and I was like, oh, that's what it is. My teacher looked at me at the end of the year and went and said to me verbatim, I was in homeschool, he was my private tutor, and looked at me and he went, we're at the end of the year now and you're going to pass, so it's all fine, but I just want you to know I fully see the fact that you are full of shit. You are full of it and you've got everyone here snowed. So I'm glad that we're parting our ways now and we're done.
What a horrible person.
Would you like to find out how to actually instill imposter syndrome into somebody? Literally say what imposter syndrome is to their face. I have fought that for the rest of my life. For the rest of my life, I'm just like, everybody, I'm full of it. I'm full of it. Everyone's going to find out. And especially with a job like this, that's like hucking stuff into the void. Like they were saying, like everyone's saying, it's like, you were just trying to make, you're hoping it works. You're just hoping it's good. And it's very easy to just sit there and go, why are you even doing this? Why are you even bothering?
You're like my hero, Andy. You're like a god to me. Just so you know. So you've definitely got me huckstered.
I appreciate it, Annie.
I'm on that bandwagon. You know that already. We've talked ad nauseum about how incredible you are.
Okay, we can't do this after everybody talks, though, because then it's going to...
Yes, we can. We absolutely can. It's reassuring.
We're talking about throwing things into the void, and yet we can't have something come back at us that's positive. Take it.
Exactly.
Just take it.
Yes.
I appreciate it. I
this
really
panel
do.
is my top 10. Like everybody here.
This is hugely, like, the fact that my picture is next to Luke Daniels in a panel is...
Yeah, this is the thing.
I'm just gonna let that be.
This is why Luke doesn't have much to say on this, because he doesn't have imposter syndrome. It doesn't exist for him. He's
Actually,
at the top of my screen.
Yeah, imposters have Luke Daniels syndrome. I don't know. It's proven science. That was in the science annals.
I read that in Popular Science, actually.
Yeah,
the whole article. Yeah. It's the rare time that Popular Science had one of those centerfold fold-outs, and it was just Luke Daniels, the whole 3 pages of it. Yeah, it was incredible.
Strategically taped microphones.
What year did that?
Phone
was that in 2001 that issue came out, or do you remember?
2001. How old do you think I am?
I don't know. How old are you?
No, I
forget about how old I am. Maybe
it was Reader's Digest from 1945.
Reader's Digest
cover spread. It was on the effects of margarine on the human body and my voice on the human ear, and it was a Pulitzer Prize-winning stuff, really.
And you narrated it, of course.
I did in Lebanese.
Of course,
I did it backwards. Mm-hmm.
What has this become?
Okay.
What are we?
I
What
don't know.
was
I don't
the
even
question?
remember.
I mean-
don't.
The question is,
I mean,
Daniel, do you
I've
actually
already-
deal with
I've already
imposter
got my
syndrome?
answer from from Luke, so we're
Yeah.
gonna. I love this discussion, and I'm so sorry that I haven't gotten to all the questions, but we need to know what projects you guys are working on and what is coming up next and where we can find you, because we love you all so much. I'm going to
Going
start
this
with
already. Is
it's
that
Luke
that,
on
Is
this.
that time? My goodness.
Well, no, it's going to take me about 25 minutes, so it's good timing. I am recording audiobooks on the reg, and I do about one a week, so there's constantly stuff coming out. You can check it out on usually Audible's pretty much where they start first, although I know with Dakota Kraut, who I've got a great relationship with, he's been doing great stuff releasing it first on his home site, and you can get it there early, and that's a really cool thing. He's always innovating, and it's fun to be along for the ride with the folks at Mountaindale. So I just finished actually his newest one, for his Completionist Chronicles. So that will go into post-production, and we should be seeing it pretty soon. His turnaround's great too. I mean, these guys, I mean, we all toot our own horn, but these authors, like the amount that they're producing and the discipline that a lot of them have kind of makes me up my game, because I'm like, these guys are serious. Yeah. So the Completionist Chronicles, we've got that coming out, and I have a new Oberon's Meaty Mysteries with Kevin Hearn that'll be coming out. We're self-producing that. I record that starting tomorrow, so we should see that in the next month. And lots of other stuff, so keep an eye out. But yeah, I'm just happy people listen and happy to be here, so thank you for the opportunity.
That was in 25 minutes. You lied. You're a liar.
Liar.
That was my voice can actually create a wormhole. So you entered the wormhole, and we are 25 minutes later. Thanks.
How is it that I actually
I mean-
believe you?
You are the Chuck Norris of audiobook narrators, Luke. That is-
Obviously, you've been dubbed.
Cheers. I
you
saw
have the
that.
beard, so
I'll
it
take
works.
that. I'll take that.
Well, I mean, I could ask you guys to say a line, but that wouldn't be important enough. So, Andy, tell us what you're working on.
I am currently working on, well, what I have finished so far that is not out yet. General of Israel releases on November 14th. That's book 11 of The Wandering Inn. The re-record is done. No, I don't know when it's coming out. I'm working currently on Aether's Revival, book 7, and then I will be on to Azrin Thieler, book 2. I have more stuff through the end of the year, but that's the immediate things. This is the first little bookend right now. If you want to come listen into anything I'm doing, discord.com/Andrea Parsnow. Or discord.gg, sorry, /Andrea Parsnow. I'm there.
Annie,
I wanted so much to ask you all these questions.
I'm so sorry.
But you're next.
Okay. So, Chronicles of a Vampire Queen, Book 3, The Feylord. That's what's coming out next. That's my latest completion. And I'm also going to be on Industrial Strength Magic, narrated by Steve Campbell, coming out very soon. End of the month, right?
Mm.
Yeah. And then I've got a little book, fun book called Identity Theft that I'm about to embark upon after that.
Did I say General of Israel?
Daniel.
It's Titan of Baleros. For the record, I'm having an identity crisis that I said the name of the title of that book wrong. It's Titan of Baleros, in case I said that wrong. For wondering.
You're good.
I've been sitting here spinning out, freaking out that I said the title wrong.
Imposter syndrome.
Go on.
Fake titles.
Oh, and I'm McLeod Andrews, by the way.
Ah,
I forgot. I should have mentioned that earlier.
of course. So, I think I heard Kyle say me. I'm not sure.
Yeah, go,
I did
go.
say it, Daniel.
I got a feedback thing. That's all. Sorry about that. So, thank you, Geneva. Yes. You can follow all of my info and stuff, danielwisniewskiactor.com. You can also follow me on Instagram at Dan the Voice Man. I prefer that because that's where the updates for books that have just come out hit first. Some stuff that's coming out, I know, within the next couple of months. Hack, Slash, and Burn 3 from Podium Audio. Apocalypse Regression Book 2 will be coming out later in the year. I know that also the Crowsand Saga, just classic fantasy, books 3 and 4 I'll be working on this year. Inherited Revenge by James Haddock just dropped yesterday. And if anybody is in the Philadelphia area, I will also be doing a show at the Walnut Street Theater in Philly. I will be playing The Beast in Beauty and the Beast. So that's going to be announced in a couple of days, hopefully. So I got to wait until they announce it. But I'm saying it here because I'm tired of waiting, because I'm excited. It's going to be fun. But I'm also doing audio stuff still, so don't worry. Stuff's going to be coming out. Oh, and just to relate to Luke there, because I also just finished a book from Mountain Dale Press by Dakota Kraut. I finished Lion's Lineage Book 2 today, and I just sent those files over, so that'll be coming out soon too.
This was the guy that was struggling with imposter syndrome about being around us, just so you're aware, after that laundry list of things that he's busy doing.
I mean, it just feels like a constant game of catch-up.
Here we go, Daniel. Absurdity. That's the definition of the term. Absurdity, right there.
I'll take it.
I think I'm finishing everything up.
All right, Steve, we're going to let you finish.
Aw, thanks, man. I love finishing. That was really inappropriate. Okay. Okay, so I'm Steve Campbell, and what I have coming up is I've mentioned it so many times now, and yet I can't even feel bad because I'm ridiculously excited about Industrial Strength Magic. I've done 3 different series with Macronomicon. I loved doing the Stitch Worlds. I adore continuing. We're still working on Wake of the Ravager, and we're also doing this Industrial Strength Magic, and it is super fun. There is some crazy comedy in there, some really great characters. I'm very excited to be working with Sound Booth on this project. So yes, please check that one out. In addition to that, I also have on pre-order under Chris Graves, my pseudonym, Edge Hunter by Dante King is available for pre-order now, and it'll be out next month. That was a lot of fun. Kate Auden is doing the duet narration with me, and I really enjoyed the story. If you like spice in your books, that has definitely got some level 5 spice on there. And then I am currently working on Fire Brand is the name of the series. Fire Touched is the second book in that series I'm doing with Aethon Publishing by D.E. Olson. That one's coming out, and then also starting right away, I will be doing Collect the World by Cameron Milan. Many people know me. That was one of my big starts, was Towers of Heaven, and Cameron Milan has finally released a new series, and I'm very excited to play in his worlds again.
So this was amazing. I love you all with all my heart. I'm going to ask for one last thing before you go. I'm going to ask for a goodbye in your favorite voice. Luke, let's start with you and just go along.
Gotta use the word favorite.
Well, thank you all for having me, and go get some drinks and have a good time. And this seems really annoying, so I'm going to stop now.
Any water you go next, and then you mute.
Okay. Goodbye. I don't even know who that is. Goodbye. Get a little boxy there.
The orders, we're out of order now. Now I don't know who goes. Is it me?
Yeah,
I'll go.
I know.
Screw it, you guys. I'm going. Fine.
Go, Andy. Go.
Yeah, go, Andy, go.
I don't have a favorite at all because that's like picking children. However, I will use this one because it's on my mind. Bye, everybody.
Since Steve's a good finisher, I'm going to let him finish. And I'm just going to end with saying goodbye. And I'm glad that you guys enjoyed. That was really great. I enjoyed talking with all of you. Have a nice night. I am done now.
I have so many different things that I want to do that I don't know which way to go with it. So I'm going to do one of the ones that I really love. And that's where on my Discord, whenever I'm having a really hard time, and I'm getting really frustrated, I like to swear, and I find it easier to swear in an accent. So here's for you, you fucking bastards. I'm tired of this fucking shit, and I want to get home right fucking now. So just have a good time and enjoy yourselves, you fucking twankies. Bye now.
I approve of this message.
And I'm just gonna leave it with waving goodbye. Good night, guys. I love you all.
Bye. Thank you.
Teddy buys.